What's happening, Shredder Nation? Happy Tuesday. Welcome to episode number 80 of Living the Shredder Life. I'm your host, Jesse James Jamnik. Welcome. So I just wanted to jump on. Tonight's going to be a little bit different of a style of a call. Typically, I'm doing an interview. I'm breaking apart somebody's life. We're sharing their upbringing and their way that they've made their process to the ERShred, what's happened since then, and the whole concept of living the shredder life is my goal is to share with all of you how we can take an 11-day protocol, which most people come to for weight loss, needing more energy, mental focus. Maybe you got stuck in life. Something happened that led you here. And that's typically what we're sharing on how people before you were in the same position. They've went through it. They've come through, and we try to share all those tips and tricks with you guys so you can shortcut the process and not have to make the same mistakes as somebody else. Tonight, though, I wanted to clear up a few things because even though I can't physically answer every question in the group, I look at it as much as I possibly can. I'm in there as much as I possibly can. But just like you, I got a life. I got a family, I got kids, I got a business, 2 of them, and things get kind of crazy. So do me a favor, as you jump into the call tonight, drop into the comments, say hello, let me know where it is that you're coming in from. On top of me just answering a couple of the hot questions that I think are relevant, I would love to answer any of your questions if any of you have specific questions. With that being said, I cannot answer your medical questions. I am not a medical doctor. I'm a nutrition guy. By the end of the year, I'll be a nationally board certified health and wellness coach, certified by the Board of Medicine. So I can help you dive through things, but I cannot answer your specific medical questions without knowing your background, without helping you, without teaming up with a nurse or a doctor or something to that nature, especially if it comes to medications and such to that nature. So that's, I guess we'll start there, is any of you that are asking questions about any of that, understand that we cannot legally help you decipher if you should come off your blood pressure medication, or if you should come off your cholesterol medication, or if you should do this or not do this. Like, that's going to have to be up to you. You're going to have to do your due diligence, look through the guides, look at the research for yourself, and then maybe you partner with your doctor and you come up with the best explanation. So that's that on all of that. So hello from New Jersey. Hello from Texas. I'm excited you guys are here. Again, as you guys jump in, please just drop into the comments. Let me know where it is that you're coming in from. If we've never met before, my name's Jesse. I am one of 2 ERShred ambassadors. My job is to focus on the nutrition side of things. That's been my passion for the last 20 years of my life, studying it, using myself as a human guinea pig. My goal is simply this. I want to do everything feasibly possible to live my best optimal life. And I believe that health is our greatest wealth. So when I'm making choices, when I'm going out, when I'm doing things, I'm not doing it based on a magazine. I'm not doing it based on somebody else's motive or somebody else's extrinsically viewpoint of me. Like, I'm doing it for me. So that's my biggest tip that I could possibly give to you guys is figure out what your intrinsic why is. Why is it that you want to fill in the blank? Whatever that blank may be for you, I'm not sure what it is that you're shooting for. I can only speak for myself. So for me, the reasons that I choose to fuel my body constantly with amazing food, the reason I skip over the big crazy desserts and the high sugar and the alcohol is not because I don't think that I can have it and I can process it, but it's simply because I ask myself a question and I go, if I do that, is that ultimately going to take me closer to my goal or take me further away from my goal? And obviously, the clear thing is it's going to take me further away. I also know that there's just absolutely zero place in my body for what my specific goals in life are with my athleticism, with the way that I want to live, with what I want to do with my kids and take them up mountains and hiking, that just doesn't serve a place in my body. So that's another tip right there on a mindset shift that we can kind of get into. And again, I'm going to touch on little tiny things. We're not going to dive so deep, but I just want to hopefully help a bunch of people and answer a bunch of questions all at once that we could possibly come into. If you're just joining me, hello, thank you. If you have a question, what's up, Jess? Drop it into the comments. I can see every comment that's coming up as long as you clicked it, or I can see your name. If not, I can still see your comment. If not, I'll go back to it if I miss it. So real quick, let's touch on this. For anybody that's brand new, for anybody that might be thinking about the ERShred, or maybe you've been in the ERShred, you've had an amazing 11-day transformation, a 21-day, a 1 year, however it is that you've been here, and you're now feeling so jived, so alive that you want to share it with somebody else, but you're like, holy crap, what do I tell people that I'm doing? What do I do? Just run around saying I'm eating red meat and I'm drinking shakes all day? Like, that's going to sound kind of crazy, right? Like, how crazy did that sound to some of you when you first heard about this? So, for those of you that are coming in, what is the ERShred? In the simplest form, the ERShred, in my opinion, from 20 years of doing this, it is the most powerful, freeing health protocol on the face of the planet. And I've been in this industry for 20 plus years, and I say that so confidently because I tried and tested every single method and every possible supplement that you could possibly think of, and I put it in my body. What's up, Mel? How are you? So what's the ERShred? It is a basic 11-day protocol. It's an elimination, reset, shred protocol. And the elimination aspect of it is very, very simple. I want to paint this picture for you guys so you can understand, why does the 11-day ERShred work for somebody who's 300 pounds? And why does the ERShred work for somebody who's maybe looking to increase their athletic performance? Why does it work for somebody who is getting into their older years of life and they're just looking for a better quality of life? How is it that something the same, because we know that every single human being is different, and every single one of us, in order to achieve our peak optimal level of health, we are going to need different things. That's called precision medicine. It's a specialty medicine that's in the field today. And I believe that within the next 10 to 15 years, we're not going to have these names like functional medicine, precision medicine. There's a couple others that are out there now. We're just going to call this medicine, because that's what science is showing us today, is the individuality of every single person and what that individual human body needs. So why does the ERShred work for every single person? It's an elimination, reset, shred protocol. We live in a world today that, whether you want to admit it or not admit it, we are living in a toxic load environment. The water that you drink is disgusting, even though it's deemed safe. The air that we're breathing is very, very polluted. The food that we're growing is no longer grown in topsoil because of deforestation, because of the heavy use of pesticides and herbicides and all the heavy metals and all the chemicals that we use. We till our land over and over and over again, and we don't rotate our crops or bring in livestock or integrate the nature with the way that nature's intended. So we have all these different things that are against us. So on top of the environmental factors, we also have to battle the fact that 90% of the food that is available to us today is not really food in my definition of what I view food as. So I view food as, if I eat this thing, cucumber, steak, butter, whatever the case may be, if I put this into my body, this nutrition, these micronutrients, these vitamins, these minerals, these trace minerals, these are going to impact my health. These are going to support my body in functioning the way that it's supposed to function. So we're in a world today where we don't have the food of the highest of quality, right? And here's a great comparison for you, just to get you to understand without diving into a too deep of a rabbit hole on this, because we could have a whole episode on just this. Have you ever found a wild strawberry, like a wild strawberry in the middle of a field? Maybe it was a blackberry, maybe it was a blueberry, whatever the case may be. If you've ever eaten one of those, do me a favor and drop into the comments. Let me know how amazing that little tiny strawberry was. Now, if you've ever found a wild strawberry or a wild raspberry or a wild blueberry, you would realize that they're about this big. They're tiny, right? They are nothing compared to the organic berries that you find in your local grocery store today. Now, if you've ever taken a bite of that food, it is like an explosion of flavor. It is so tiny, but it is so powerful. And why is it so powerful? Well, because in nature, it's not easy to be a strawberry. It's not easy to be a blackberry. You don't have somebody picking the weeds for you. You don't have somebody spraying you to keep the bugs away. You actually have to defend yourself, and plants do defend themselves with chemicals and natural toxins that a plant produces to deter the insect or deter the animal from eating it. So that's a great example where if you take that compared to a conventionally grown strawberry or even an organic strawberry, let's say, the taste difference, it's like eating a cardboard box to an explosion of flavor. And that's just a very small example of how we've jeopardized the food system today and how we've altered the food today. So why do I give you this story? Because even if you're an elite athlete, or even if you're a 300-pound person looking to lose weight, the human body is still the human body. And we're an intricate system. I mean, you don't realize this because we walk around in these we're human, but really all you are is stardust, matter, and bacteria. You're literally a walking petri dish to bacteria. You have more bacteria in your gut and your colon. I think the small intestine, if it was actually pulled out, goes for like 40 miles. That shit is wrapped up and tucked inside and folded around and all of that, but it goes forever. And that stuff, when we're putting in these pollutants, whether you're an athlete or, again, somebody who needs to lose a lot of weight, you are very toxic. And it's so crazy because in this world we live in today, we deem somebody's outside appearance as whether they're healthy or not. That is such a crock of shit. And I can tell you that from my own experience because, again, being in this industry, in this fitness, athletic, nutrition world for the last 20 years of my life, being a competitive athlete myself, I have been through the ringer, and I can tell you that at my prime of bodybuilding, right, when I maxed out my frame to 194 pounds, solid ripped muscle, zero body fat, although from the outside I looked like the epitome of health, on the inside I felt like absolute garbage. And I didn't know what I know today back then, which I wish I did. But that's as good as we are, right? We only know what we know. So why does the elimination aspect of this work? The elimination aspect of this works so beautifully well because whether you're a fine-tuned machine or somebody who's looking to get there, our bodies are very clogged up. There's 7 systems inside the human body that all have to function and operate together in order for you to fight disease, prevent disease, block out a virus, maybe heal from a cut or a wound or something to that nature. So our body is this intricate system, and every day we are polluting it. If you're an athlete, you're eating even more calories. And what are those calories? What are those calories? What are the nutrient density of those calories that you're putting in? If you're an athlete, you're breathing in more air. You're taking in more toxicity. You're probably drinking more. So you are probably more polluted than the person who's 300 pounds, believe it or not. And we've seen this with the elite athletes. We do what's called IgG testing, which is just a deep panel blood work test. And we can see the toxin load. We can see the heavy metals. We can see, the damage that's been done, because contrary to belief, when you exercise, you're actually creating damage inside your body. You're really not doing anything good for your body. You're releasing things like BDFN, brain. I'm sorry, I'm not even going to get into that right now with you. We're going to leave all the science out of it. But you're releasing amazing things. But you're also creating free radicals. You're also creating oxidation. You're also creating damage. So why can you benefit from an elimination diet just like the person who needs to lose weight? What are we doing when we're doing an elimination diet? All these people that are running around today, it's no secret that we have a rampant rate of chronic disease in the world today. Statistically, 88% of adults have some form of metabolic disease or chronic disease. That means blood pressure is off, cholesterol is off. You have some sort of autoimmunity, whether it's Hashimoto's, Crohn's, celiac, the rheumatoid arthritis. I mean, there's like 80 something autoimmune diseases, and they're all classified in different categories. I'm going to challenge that and say they're all related to the same thing. They're all related to the same thing. So what's the power of the elimination? What are we really eliminating? Sometimes people freak out and they're like, oh my God, I can only eat steak and I can only drink my shakes and I can only have bacon. And why can't I have this? And why can't I have vegetables? And why can't I have, my other supplements? And why can't I have this healthy thing? Well, I'm going to challenge you this question. Just because it's healthy, how do you actually know it serves you? Just because it's healthy, and there's been a science report that says whatever, collagen is great, or broccoli is amazing, or spinach is awesome, or steak is this, like just because science says so, how do you know that that food actually serves your body or doesn't serve your body? That's the power of elimination. What we've also come to realize is that when we do something like the elimination protocol, where you remove all of the garbage, what are we really doing when we eliminate? We're removing the garbage, the pesticides, the herbicides, the toxins, all the chemicals, the sugar, and we're only fueling your body with amazing, dense nutrition. That's going to allow you guys to get to a beautiful place called baseline, where your hormones are regulated, serotonin, ghrelin, insulin, all the things that are inside the body that function, that make the body tell it what to do. You're going to regulate all of that. You're going to get it all in check. You're going to create that balance that your body is craving, that it's dying for. But because of the air, the water, the food, the crappy sugars and flours and alcohol and whatever else it is that we're doing, we have ruined that. So the elimination aspect is one of the most powerful components of the ERShred protocol. So I'm going to suggest to you that you embrace it. It's 11 days. For those of you that are like, why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't I? Why do you have to? Why do you have to? Why do you have to? Flip the script. Flip the script and start to dig inside yourself and say, how did I even get here? Why do I think I need that vegetable? I'm not demonizing vegetables, by the way. I'm getting you just to think. I need people to start using common sense and use their brain to start to place themselves in this. We have put our trust into too many other professionals with white coats, and we are not taking control of ourselves. You are your own best doctor. So the elimination protocol, we strip it all away. We only fuel the body with amazing stuff. The reset is our cellular intermittent fasting. Fasting has been done for hundreds of centuries. This is nothing new. Our partner company, Isagenix, was the first to market with cellular intermittent fasting. We've been doing this shit for 13 plus years, and now mainstream media and science and medical journals are finally now publishing more and more research, because fasting is not just about losing weight. Fasting, in fact, I would say, has nothing to do with losing weight whatsoever. Fasting is allowing your body to get a reset. You see, the world that we live in today, not only is our water bad and our food bad, our social skills are bad, our communication is bad, the way that we sit with our own thoughts is bad, the way that we process things is bad. We have mental disease on the rise right now. We have all sorts of other issues going on, and a reset is exactly what the doctor ordered. Funny enough, the first fast was actually diagnosed medically way back in the day by the same man who coined the term, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food, the one and only Hippocrates. Fasting is your body's chance to relax. And if you really think about it, is it hard? Yes, especially if you've been downing sugar, pounding flour at the rates that we do today of 155 pounds per adult per year of flour, 135 pounds of refined sugar per year per adult. If you've been doing that, yes, fasting is going to be hard. Fasting for me, I'm going to be honest with you, it's like I don't even realize there's a difference in the day. I can go so long now without even eating food. I have to set reminders for myself to eat so I can make sure that I get in the calorie load that my training demands from me specifically. That's the beautiful place that you can get to. So on top of resetting your hormones like ghrelin, serotonin, all your hunger hormones, you're going to become the most insulin sensitive that you've ever been, probably for some of you in your entire life. You control your insulin, you control your health. And that is a fact. Blood sugar levels are one of the most important dictators of long-term health. And unfortunately, with the way that we're going, none of us have control of that. So by allowing yourself to reset, you're also tapping back into the ancestral way. You see, we never had the abundance of food that we have back then like we do today. The only difference that has changed in the human way of life today, your DNA has not changed. The DNA of a human being has not changed. The only thing that's changed is the quality of the food and the abundance in which we can get it into our greasy fingertips today. You can go to the auto parts store to buy brakes, and you have 2 aisles of shit, chips, cookies, candy, you name it, it's there. You go anywhere today, to any store, and you have access to garbage everywhere. That never used to be. We never used to wake up back in the day and just boom, have all this access to food. We had to wake up with the sun because we needed the light. We couldn't get up. We didn't have artificial lights. We didn't have all these things messing up our circadian rhythm. We didn't have these things that are resetting our mental clocks. You see, we don't think about all these things today, but these are all factors that are playing into the poor metabolic health as a nation, as a world today. So the reset phase of this is just as powerful because it's allowing you to just take a breath. It's allowing your body the time it needs to actually process what the hell is going on. Most people today are literally eating from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. There is zero break. There is zero downtime. It is just eat. And if we're not eating the calories, we're drinking the calories, whether it's our coffee, our iced teas, our energy drinks. I mean, gosh, how much crap is out there? Our flavored waters, that's not even water because the water is shit. And then the chemicals they add to it are shit. And it's just shit on top of shit. And we're just putting that into our body like it's nothing. So the reset phase of this is just as powerful. And I would encourage you that if you're struggling, be okay with that. Be okay with struggle. Science has also proven that the human body is designed for struggle. We are designed to fight every day. And we live some of the most sedentary lifestyles that we have ever known in the history today. The children of today, the group ages like my daughter, who's 12 years old, it makes me sad because the sedentary lifestyle today, there's nothing going on. They're eating, and then they sit, and they play video games, right? And that's what they do. And maybe they'll play a game and they'll go out, whatever, but it's very, very short-lived. I have to argue all the time with them, right? When I go see my daughter. So I know. So that reset phase it's powerful because it's fighting against everything that's going on. You are taking back control of your own destiny, and you're saying enough is enough, right? Enough is enough. Now, there's plenty of science. We can get into the autophagy. We can get into the healthy cells eating the bad cells. We can get into the regulation of blood sugar. We can get into all of that. But if you think of it from a bigger scope, from the meta view, and you look at it from an ancestral way, you are doing yourself so much justice by embracing the nutritional fast. You are not going to die. Here is a real life statistic. This is not made up. You literally can go months, I'm talking months, without a drop of food and still survive. If you got lost in the middle of a jungle or in the middle of the wilderness somewhere, you could go for 30 days, not just living. You could thrive because you're going to force your body into this beautiful thing called fat adaptation, which I will touch on because I know it's a big topic, but you're going to force your body into fat adaptation, and your body is going to learn how many calories. There's 3,000 calories stored in 1 pound of body fat. So for those of us that are carrying around excess weight, when you're not consuming calories, I always laugh when people say, oh my God, I can't go that long without eating. You are eating. You're just not consuming calories. You are eating your own fat, which has 3,000 calories per pound of body weight. So you are being more than fed. Your body is so amazing, and you're not giving it the credit that it needs. So the elimination is the powerful thing to strip it back, to get all the shit out of your life, the garbage, the processed, the sugar, the flour, the alcohol, the bad drinks, all the stuff that I think if you really sat with yourself and you said, is this truthfully good for me? You know the answer. I don't need to tell you that answer. You know that answer, but you got to start believing it. And the elimination part and the reset part is going to reach out. This is my favorite. It's going to reach out, and it is going to smack you so hard across the face. And that's what some of us need. We need a wake-up call. We need something to smack us across the face and wake us up from our delusional state of being, from our zombie-like state of, I wake up, I drink coffee, I eat food, I go to work, I come home, I sit down, I eat more food, I eat and I eat and I eat. And then if I get upset, I eat some more. And then I do more. We need to wake up. And this is what's going to allow us to do that. The shred aspect of this is not about shredded muscles. That's the byproduct of optimal health. The human body is supposed to look a certain way on the outside. I'm not saying you have to be Jacko Johnson. That's not the goal. However, lean muscle is your ticket to long-term health, just like regulated blood sugars. Think about it. If you get a major disease and you can't consume food, like cancer, for instance, statistically, more people die of the malnutrition of cancer than the actual cancer itself. More people die from the mindset aspect of it than the actual disease itself. And I'm not going to sit here and show you, but I can tell you, there, without a doubt, scientifically proven, there has been, you can call them miracles, you can call them whatever you want, but I've literally seen papers, multiple papers of people curing themselves by taking radical responsibility over their health. And when I think about living the shredder way, living the shredder life, getting shred is, it's so many levels. It's so many levels. I can't even give you an explanation because it depends on where you're at. You know, Tom Bridge, I'm sorry if I butchered your last name, Tony. He posted a beautiful post in our group, and he answered my question when I asked the question, what does shred mean to you? What does living the shredder life mean to you? And if you've not asked yourself that question, I would highly encourage you to sit with that question and keep asking the question, why? When you write out the superficial answer that first pops to your brain, that's not your intrinsic reason. What does it really mean? Why do I think that? Why do I feel that? Why am I getting this energy? Where is that coming from? So when you're shredding, what are we doing? We're figuring out our blueprint. We're figuring out how we want to live life. We're figuring out, do we want to go back to our old way? Do we want to break through into the new way? How are we choosing to show up for ourselves, for our work, family, for our children, for our grandchildren? How do we want to be when we're 90 years old? How do we want to be living? What do we want to be doing? Do we want to have somebody else taking care of us? Do we want to be able to tie our own shoes? Do we want to be able to take our own breath? Do we want to be able to not lose our breath bending over, taking our shoes off? Do we want to be able to climb stairs without suffocating? Like, what does the shredder way mean to you? I don't have that answer for you. We can support you. We can help you. We can guide you. You can tap into other motivational stories. You can't compare to somebody else because their why is different than your why. So you have to tap into that. So that's the 11-day ERShred in a nutshell. Now, let's get into fat adaptation. If you have any other questions about that, drop it into the comments. Let me know what it is that you got. I'll come back and I'll answer those questions for you. I want to get into fat adaptation. In the world of nutrition, in athleticism, in fitness, I believe that we've gotten really, really good at taking a term and blowing it out of proportion because that's marketing and that's what sells. And that's what pisses me off so much today about this industry. So when we talk about fat adaptation, I just need you to understand very simply that you only have two ways that your body can function. You only have two ways that your body can get its energy sources. One is from glucose, which is sugar, carbohydrates. The other is from fat, whether it's from stored body fat or dietary fat that we choose to consume, whether it's animal fat, avocado, nuts and seeds, olive oil, olives, whatever the case may be. Wherever we're getting those healthy fats from, your body has those two choices. That is it. That is the only thing. So what is the true definition of fat adaptation? Fat adaptation simply means that when glucose is not present inside the body, your body can easily shift and convert its own fat and break it down and form the byproduct of ketones, not ketosis. This is just a natural breakdown of fat. This is the biology of it, how it happens, okay? Your body can easily shift over and utilize your own stored body fat as its fuel source and energy source. Now, come to find out through science, the body actually prefers fat as its fuel over sugar. And some people argue with that because they say, well, that's ridiculous because it's easier for the body to break down carbohydrates and glucose and give me the energy that I need. So why would I not just choose glucose? Why would I make my body work hard for energy, especially if I'm tired, especially if I have to run a race, especially if I need a little bit of a boost? Because we know that the intake of excess carbohydrates, flour, and sugar, and carbohydrates are another thing that I'm going to do a different call on, because not all carbohydrates are created equal. There is a very, very big difference between candy, soda, processed flour, and refined sugar. Those are carbohydrates, compared to broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cucumber, vegetables of any sort. Those are also carbohydrates, but those are going to process and break down inside the body very, very differently than the other types of carbohydrates. They're not going to spike your blood sugar. So when you get a spike in blood sugar from glucose, think of that as like a fire, and that's your kindling wood. So if you're looking for long-term sustainability, do you want to try to fuel yourself off of kindling wood that you have to keep putting on and putting on and putting on? And yeah, you're going to get the burst of energy, but it's going to crash really, really fast. If I don't put more kindling wood on, my fire is going to die very, very quickly. And that's the same thing with our energy levels. And those of you that have binged in on pancakes with maple syrup for breakfast, that's a great example. That is kindling wood when you need logs. You need fucking trees to burn your fire. So you're eating all of this, you're spiking your fire, you get that big fire that comes up, it's like, whoa, all that heat, and then whoosh, it burns down. And that's exactly what we're doing to ourselves when we choose to fuel on glucose alone. Now, yes, the body is lazy. The body will break down glucose if it's inside the body for it to do. However, if you force the body long enough to go through a state where you are removing the carbohydrates, you are removing the stores of glucose, you are forcing your body to shift itself. We are so efficient. We are so efficient at breaking down fat. It is our ancestral way. It is how we survived. If we could not do this, we would not be here having this conversation right now. Our ancestors would not have made it because the food was plentiful in the summer and it was scarce in the winter. And our stored body fat from the fruits and the honey that we gorged on in the summer and stored as fat would then be utilized in the winter to keep us alive. But the problem is now, go back to our beginning of our call, we just eat. So even though our body is so efficient at breaking down fat and using it for energy, we are not giving it that chance. So the ERShred protocol is going to assist you in becoming fat adapted. So again, fat adaptation simply means that you can go and people say, well, how do I know I'm fat adapted? How do I know I'm fat adapted? Take a breath. It's probably not going to happen in the first 11 days. It's probably not going to happen for majority of you if you do back-to-back shreds. In fact, it's probably not going to happen for majority of you if you do back-to-back-to-back shreds. Now, that's not to discourage you, because that doesn't mean that along the way, you're not becoming more efficient at breaking down fat. That just means that based upon where you're at in your journey, how long you've been torturing yourself and choosing to fuel that way, because again, it's not your fault necessarily. That's just what we were taught, right? But if you've chosen to do that, you're going to have to realize that if it's taken you 15 years to get to this point right now, you realistically cannot expect miracles after 11 days, 21 days, 33 days. Hell, you need to give this 6 solid months. The ERShred protocol, in my mind, is not an 11-day protocol. You don't jump into the 11-day protocol and go, oh, I'm going to do 11 days and I'm going to go back to my ways. Quit right now. You're wasting your time. That's not what this is. You have a diet mentality. You have a diet mentality. And that's something that you got to go back inside and fix if you really want to get the bigger picture of this. So how do I know I'm fat adapted? If I can literally wake up in the morning, I can smash my workout, I can come back inside, I can no longer be starving, I can play with my son, I can prep mine and my wife's morning. I make us breakfast. I incubate our shakes. I make my lunch. I get her stuff prepped for the day. Like, I'm not even thinking about food anymore. And I'm good to go. You can go out on expeditions for the day with your family, and you don't have to worry about, oh my God, like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to resist the temptation of those smells. I don't know if that kettle corn popcorn is going to get to me. I don't know if that donut tray that all the employees bring in every Friday that's in the break room, I don't know if I'm going to cave into that. When you can look at that and go, you know what? That is such nonsense shit that it doesn't even look like food anymore to you. That's a good indication that you're on your way to fat adaptation. And again, don't let the fat adaptation overrule your thinking. Don't get so hung up on it that you're missing the bigger picture of what the living the shredder life really is. I just wanted to explain it to you. And again, that's the simplest form. We can do more stuff with the science, but that's the simplest form as it stands right now, right? Somebody posted, it took me a year. I know, because I finally feel like food doesn't control or consume me. Yes. I don't know who you are, but thank you, because it just says Facebook user. Thank you so much for posting that. That is exactly how you know. It took you a year. Was it worth the year? Was it worth the trial and tribulation? Was it worth the journey? Maybe when you went through the process, you questioned it. You wanted to quit. These are all normal things. If you didn't want to, I wouldn't think you're normal. But it doesn't mean, when you mess up, it doesn't mean that you've messed up forever. When you have a little bit of an oopsie, or you go out and have a girls' night, or you go out with the guys and you drink a beer, it doesn't mean that you've totally ruined everything. Some of you that are going on this journey, again, that's the diet mentality. You have to go back inside yourself and be like, what is going on? Where did I get these thoughts from? Like, who convinced me that this was real? Did I convince myself? Is the story that I'm telling myself reality? Or is it just a story that I keep playing over and over and over and over and over in my head? And if you're honest with yourself, majority of you are going to realize that the story is not reality. The story is the story that you've learned somewhere. You took it to heart. You believed it to be true. And you've told yourself it so many times over and over and over again that you actually believe it's true. So that's fat adaptation. That's one of the things that I wanted to touch on. I haven't seen any questions come through, but whatever. If you have them, post them. How long can I do the ERShred for? I'm still doing the ERShred. I will never stop doing the ERShred. Again, I think you're talking about this too literally. You can do the ERShred. There's nothing harmful about doing the ERShred. I think what happens is, because it's an 11-day protocol, some of you come in and you haven't worked on the diet mentality yet. And you look at this and you go, okay, this is an 11-day diet. And listen to me. If you need that for you to get jump started, if you need that for the oil to be greased, for the chain to be pulled because it hasn't been pulled for a long time, I support that 100%. By all means, go with it. But this is a lifestyle. Susan just posted the word lifestyle. 100%. You have to come into this, or I'm sorry, you don't have to do anything. I have to stop speaking like that. I choose to look at this as a long-term lifestyle. I hope that you choose to look at this as a long-term lifestyle, because living the shredder way doesn't mean that you can't go out to dinner. Living the shredder way doesn't mean that you can't go out for date night. Living the shredder way doesn't mean that you can't consume an adult beverage from time to time. Living the shredder way doesn't mean that you can't have a pizza every now and then if you want, or you can't eat a cookie every now and then if you want, or you can't have an ice cream every now and then if you want. We have to get off of this it's all or nothing mentality. The all or nothing mentality does not work. It doesn't work. If it worked, none of us would be here. Like the all or nothing mentality doesn't work. It's been proven not to work. So you got to look at it like, okay, look at it as baby steps. Look at it as if you need the 11 days, it's 11 days, 11 days, 11 days, 11 days. And in between those 11 days, people get so confused. They're like, what do I do? I'm like, what do you mean? What do you do? You use what you learned about yourself, about your food blueprint, about how impactful foods are, and you use common sense. I know, I'm asking a lot. I know. I'm dying. You got to use common sense, and you got to use the knowledge that you're gaining from each individual one, and you carry it with you as time goes. So when I go out to eat, how do I live the shredder life? I look at the entire menu. Most times I will look at the menu before I go, and I already have an idea of what I want. I've done my research. And when I go out to eat, I'm not looking for, the fried stuff. I'm not looking for the pastas. I'm not looking for the stuff that I know if I consume, it's going to make me feel like shit. You have to figure out what those foods are for you. You have to figure out what those foods are for you. So when I go out to eat, I just balance it out. So most people go out to eat and they consume their bread and their butter, and they have a drink, and then they load that up with some sort of pasta or a 3,000 calorie plate from the Cheesecake Factory or wherever you go. Then you have dessert, and it's like you ate sugar on top of sugar on top of sugar on top of sugar on top of sugar. Like, that's not living the shredder life. But if I go out to eat and I say, you know what? I'm good with the bread because the bread doesn't serve me. It's going to bloat me. It's going to raise my blood sugar. It's not going to make me feel good. It's going to make me feel like shit. So I'm going to use discipline and common sense, and I'm going to say no to that. I'm also going to say no to the alcohol because I know that even the occasional drink is detrimental to my health. Now, again, if you choose to do it, I'm not condemning you. You, by all means, go. I'm sharing my value and what I believe to be true and what science has shown me. So what am I going to do? I'm going to indulge on something that I think is going to be so delicious and juicy. I'm going to get something that maybe I don't cook at home. Maybe I don't want to cook it because it's too intricate. Maybe I don't want to clean up the mess. So I'm going to indulge in my dinner, and I'm going to eat my dinner, and I'm going to be full, and I'm going to walk out of that restaurant. And why did I go out to eat in the first place? Well, this is another question you have to ask yourself. Why are you going out to eat? I'm going out to eat because I want to enjoy time with my significant other. I want to have some downtime. I want to have some quiet time. Maybe I want to catch up with some friends. So am I really going for the food, or is that what the American culture has convinced us to believe, that every time we celebrate, it's food, every time we go out to eat, it's food, every time we do this, it's food, it's food, it's food, it's food, it's food, it's food, it's food? Or am I going for the enjoyment? Am I going for the connection? Am I going for the friendship? Because I know that can bring just as much value to my overall optimal health and well-being as the food that I choose to put on my fork and in my mouth and into my belly. So use that, right? And that's anywhere that you go. When I go out to an event, I never honestly leave my house without snacks. I have a bar. I have some nuts. I have a protein shake. I have a beef stick bar with some cheese. I bring my little cooler with me. I mean, the excuses that we make, you're like, oh, I don't have time. But yet you'll sit in a 10-minute line at Chick-fil-A and tell me that you're in a rush. And I've packed my lunch, eaten my lunch, and it's taken me less than 10 minutes. So don't give me this bullshit about time. Like, it's laziness, it's bad habits, it's not being disciplined. Like, again, look inside yourself, use some common sense, but living the shredder life is that. How else can I look at living the shredder life? Well, I'm a dad. I'm a 42-year-old guy. Most people at 42 years old, I'm going to brag a little bit. They don't have the physique that I have. They don't look like the way that I do. They can't endure the way that I endure. And I say this to my daughter all the time. I say, honey, I'm not telling you to suck it up and it's going to hurt and it's worth the reward, I'm going to show you that daddy's willing to do it. I'm going to show you and I'm going to get in the trenches with you. That to me is living the ultimate shredder life. When I can take my daughter and I personally can take her up a mountain to 4,802 feet and I can give her the experience of what it's like to stand on the top of a mountain and literally have the clouds floating through your body and look at the world from up there versus down here in quietness and peacefulness. And I can escort her because I chose to put me first and my health first. That is living the shredder life. When I'm a grandparent and I have grandchildren, which I can't wait for. I mean, I have an 8-month-old now and I'm already looking forward to grandchildren. When I'm that person, and here's why I'm so excited, because I know that the value that I put on my health right now is never going to change. And when I become a grandparent, I will get on the floor and play with my grandkids. I will take them and I will let them experience, and I will share the joys that Mother Nature brings to me in my life with my grandkids. I will be in that optimal health state to do that, right? I will be there. So that is living the shredder life for me. And again, I can give you so many other hundreds of examples of what it really means to live the shredder life when we look at it from the meta view versus just the 11-day. So we get so confused and we get so wrapped up that we kind of confuse ourselves. And because we haven't taken the time to sit with our own thoughts and process our own feelings, which I hope you do, you get all mumble jumbled. If you want to do a back-to-back shred, what do you do in between? Just keep going, but don't cleanse. I wouldn't recommend doing anything different. If you need to do this for 7 shreds in a row, you go ahead. There's nothing unhealthy about this. You are only choosing to remove chemical crap that clogs your body and your systems and causes disease. Fact, not opinion. And you are only choosing to fuel your body with rocket fuel. You are choosing to fuel your body with the most nutrient-dense foods on the face of the planet. You are fighting disease. You are giving your body a fighting chance to heal itself and come back. So there is nothing bad about this. After the 11-day shred, what do? You use your common sense. You use what you learned about food. How do I bring back foods? Slowly. One of the most important aspects of doing an elimination diet is not just pulling the elimination diet out and pulling the stuff out, but it's what you're putting back in. So go slow. I would recommend things that we know don't cause many sensitivities. Maybe things like sauerkraut or olives or avocado, or I can try eggs in a different way. Maybe I want to try some vegetables. Again, there is nothing wrong with vegetables. This is not about the demonization of vegetables. Vegetables have over 25,000 known compounds to provide health. But the problem is that most of the vegetables that we're eating today do not contain the same nutrient density and values that the vegetables of back in the day had. So we need to do our own trial and tribulation to figure out which ones are going to be best for us and which ones are not going to be best for us. So that's how you go past the 11 days. And again, if you want to keep shredding, keep shredding. I personally, as an endurance athlete, I need a little bit more. I'm not going all out carb. I'm not putting in the refined grains like I used to. I'm not eating the bagels and the breads and the pastas and all that stuff that I now know actually caused my body pain, even though from the outside, I looked like the epitome of health. So living the shredder life, I shred every day in the choices that I make, how I choose to live, how I choose to honor myself, the food that I'm choosing to put in. Just because I'm eating vegetables doesn't mean I'm not shredding. I am shredding. if optimal health of finding your food blueprint. Now, some of you might thrive for the rest of your life on just steak and eggs and bacon and avocado and shakes and bone broth. And if that's you, high five. High five. Some of you might not want to do that. No worries. No worries. But don't be so lazy that you're not willing to be your own detective and figure out your own food blueprint. Don't just jump in and go, oh, I'm going to do 11 days and then I'm just going to go at it. Like, no. You just spent 15 years wrecking it up, 10 years, 8 years, 5 years, whatever the case may be. You got to give yourself time to get to that golden place. I now have probably about, 35 foods or so, something like that. I'm just guessing, but it's about 35 foods that I know are safe for me, and they fuel my body for peak optimal performance. They give my body the best fighting chance to fight disease, to fight cancer, to fight autoimmunity, to fight everything, because every single cell in our body actually has the ability to be cancerous. That's a true statement. So I'm living my life because I want to perform. I want to be with my kids. I want to be able to enjoy nature. I want to go on my hikes. I still want to run my ultra marathons. I want to be there for my grandkids. I want to be able to tie my own shoes. I don't want to lose my breath walking upstairs. I don't want to lose my breath, just getting out of my car. All these things, right? Like all of those things. I don't want to struggle. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to be able to wake up and take 20 minutes to wake up. Like all of that stuff, right? So I'm doing all of that, choosing all of that so I can live the best optimal life that I could possibly live. That's the bigger picture of living the shredder life. So again, if you're only on the 11 days and you're just getting through these last 2 days, I get it. But I wanted to share the bigger picture with you. I wanted to touch on some of those things. Okay, guys. That's what I got for you tonight. I hope that added some value. I hope that gets you thinking. I hope that gets you asking some questions. Again, if you have any other specific questions that are not specifically medically related, because Susan and I are not going to answer those questions. We are not your doctor. We are not your nurse. We are not your nutritionist, okay? We don't know you well enough to do that. We do know the basics of the human body, and we know that people can thrive, okay? But if you need basics, if you need support, if you need help, if you want to brainstorm, if you need suggestions, if you want to whatever, that's what we're here for. If you need accountability, that's what we're here for. Show up to the group, ask the questions, use it for motivation, get your ass in the guides, use the guides. We've spent hundreds of hours. Heather has spent hundreds of hours on those guides. Please utilize them. And if you're too lazy to look through the guides because you say you don't have time, I'm too lazy, and Susan's too lazy, and Heather's too lazy to answer your question. I think that's fair. I think that's fair because we all have lives too. We all have lives too. So I hope that brought you some value. I hope you all have an amazing night. Please join us tomorrow for Shred Your Testimonial. If you want to share your story, please reach out to Sean Escobar or Heather Seeker-Leonard. Let them know. If you are not sharing your story, please get your ass on the call. Support the other people. You might hear something that gives you that spark that launches you into the stratosphere. You never know what somebody's going to say. You never know what story is going to be shared. And if you're not there, you might miss it. And who knows if that one person says that one thing that relates to you, that launches you in and allows you to have the best, most amazing, optimal health for the rest of your life. What if? Start asking yourself, what if on that side of it versus what if it doesn't work? What if this? What if that? Blah, 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 right? Mindset. Flip the script. Have an amazing night. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.